Thank you for joining my session. I'm registered psychotherapist qualifying in Ontario, and every day I'm going to share some personal development videos and information about science, about psychology, and what can help you to improve your life. And today we are going to discuss about motivation, what can help you to stay motivated, what are types of intrinsic and other types of motivation, and what you can do to help yourself to motivate yourself using science, and what does science tells about it. And I also would help you to ask several social focused questions about motivation. So when you wake up in the morning, how do you generally feel? Do you feel motivated, or maybe it's more difficult for you to stay motivated? Maybe your motivation is fluctuating, and sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, and it's quite normal. Many people are experiencing these challenges, and today we are going to discuss what can be done about it. Our topic is motivation and performance psychology, and what does science say about it. Today you will learn psychological and neurological mechanisms of motivation, difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and which one is more powerful, and the flow experience and how to access it, and self-efficacy theory, its impact on performance. To understand motivation, we need to look at the brain first, how the brain works, and at the center of motivation lies the dopamine system. Dopamine is often called the happiness hormone, but that's not entirely accurate. And dopamine is actually the anticipation and desire hormone. It's released as you move towards something before you even get it. And neuroscience Cambridge research reveals a fascinating distinction. Wanting and liking are different systems. You can want something intensely but not feel the happiness you expected when you finally get it. So why does this matter? Because motivation is about the journey, not the destination. Once you understand this can help to manage your motivation levels and and it can get more easier for you to become motivated. In psychology, there are two types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation about money, reward, approval, promotion, grades, and other factors, whereas intrinsic motivation is about curiosity, meaning, growth, values, and enjoyment. And coming within, belonging to yourself, research says that something very interesting. Intrinsic motivation is far from powerful uh, and sustainable in the long run. And Edward Deci and Richard Ryan's self-determination theory reveals that human beings have three main psychological needs. First of them is autonomy, being able to make your own choices. The second one is competence, feeling that you are growing and developing. And the third one is relatedness, meaningful connections with people around you. So when these three needs are met, intrinsic motivation generally emerges automatically, naturally, and no longer needs to make a lot of efforts in order to get motivation. And what about trap of extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation has very interesting property. Over time, it kills intrinsic motivation. In psychology, this is called over-justification effect. Mark Lepper's classic experiment shows that children are given drawing activities, and one group receives a reward while the other doesn't, and when later left free to choose, the reward group stops drawing. And this shows that because drawing has become something done for the reward, they stop doing it. Have you ever noticed this dynamic in your own life? When you turn something you love into work or tie it to a reward, how the joy disappears. Extrinsic motivation works short term, but long term it erodes intrinsic motivation. That's why sustainable motivation requires returning to internal resources. So if motivation feels inconsistent right now, that's not a character flaw, it's a generally a signal that something in your environment, goals, or expectations isn't aligned with how your brain actually works. And useful place to start this can be motivation rarely comes first. In most cases, it follows action, clarity, and sense of progress. And you can try asking yourself, what am I trying to force myself to do that doesn't feel meaningful anymore? And why am I still attached to it? Or if I removed pressure, expectations, critics, comparison for a moment, what would I actually feel curious about doing today? And where in my life do I feel even a small sense of progress? And am I noticing it or dismissing it? And what would mean minimum viable effort look like instead of wanting for a perfect level of motivation? And something more fundamental, am I relying on motivation to start, or am I willing to start small enough that motivation can grow after I begin? So now we come to one of most fascinating concepts in motivation psychology, and it's called flow experience. Have you ever been doing something and completely lost track of time? Maybe you've been studying or reading something or trying to create something, and you even don't notice how the time flows and how much time you have spent while creating or doing that. This is the state of flow. It was defined first by Csikszentmihalyi, and flow state is a consciousness where a person is completely immersed in an activity, reaching the peak of energy and focus in an intrinsically rewarding way. And research shows that people who experience a sense of flow are not only happier in those moments, they are happier and more productive overall. And how does flow emerge? According to this model, there is very clear equation. When challenge of the task matches your skill level, flow generally emerges automatically. But if the task is too easy, you might get bored, and if the task is too hard, you get anxious. And the best way to balance this is the flow. So if you are a musician and if you have a very easy piece, you might feel bored, and if you have a very hard piece, you might feel panicked, or a piece that slightly challenges your limits can feel achievable, and you might experience flow. So from a neuroscience perspective, during flow, the prefrontal cortex activity generally decreases, and this is called transient hypofrontality. In other words, the inner critic goes quiet, and this enables free, productive, creative performance. However, it can be more difficult to achieve for the people if they are still being constantly criticized, if people around them are constantly seeking for possible flaws and criticizing, or there is an environment of argument, critics. So, but you can still arrange, you can notice which thoughts you have about it, and you can choose how you choose to respond to it. You can intentionally trigger flow, and here is scientifically supported methods for it. First of all, setting clear goals. Knowing exactly what you are going to do, and ambiguity breaks flow. For instance, you can say, I will finish this section this morning. This goal is clear and small. So when you are saying, let me do something, it's ambiguous, and your mind doesn't like uncertainty, and when the plans are vague, and it's more likely that it will try to escape, procrastinate, avoid, or whenever there is uncertainty, you will feel anxiety, and it's more challenging to stay focused or to continue in the state of flow while you're anxious. So in real time, how well you are doing, tracking your heart rate, for instance, while exercising, or seeing word count while writing. This generally also helps to give an immediate feedback to see your results, and this would help you to keep motivated and inspired. Therefore, if you are able to orient your environment or strategies accordingly, and if you are able to see an immediate feedback, you will be more likely to stay motivated. And also what you can change is change your attention management. For instance, if you know that you are easily distracted, that it's difficult for you to stay focused, you can try to arrange your environment and attention. For instance, you can try to put your phone away, to switch off notifications, to put your phone into a quiet mode, and you can try to catch the flow for around 6 to 90 minutes every day, immersing yourself into a deep work concept, and then you can write down what challenges you experienced, what helped you to stay focused, and how you can improve it, and what else you can do in order to stay in a flow longer. And keeping your tasks slightly challenging is another strategy that can help you to stay motivated and in the state of flow. If it's too easy, then you might feel bored, but if it's too challenging, then you might have panic, anxiety. Therefore, arranging challenge levels and making it, balancing it, also can help you to stay longer in the flow zone. So applying these four strategies into your work can help to considerably increase your motivation levels, and will make you more likely to succeed and to stay focused and to stay motivated. The next chapter is self-efficacy theory. Now we come to one of most interesting concepts in performance psychology, that's called self-efficacy, developed by Albert Bandura and defined as a person's belief in their ability to successfully perform a specific task. So notice, for instance, this is not general self-confidence, this task-specific belief. What thoughts you have about the work you are doing, or the task you are trying to do, or any project you are trying to perform. What exactly comes to your mind? And oftentimes people notice that there are fears, there is anxiety, there are other challenging feelings, maybe reminding you about past experiences, and your mind can be trying to tell you, convince you that you will experience the same challenges again with the same with this task, or maybe your mind is telling you that you can't do this speech, and that you can't succeed, that you are a failure, or you have a lot of flaws. So noticing what's exactly in your mind and which thoughts you have about your work can help to increase your awareness, and you can always change your relationship towards your work. And believing in yourself, having self-belief is important according to research, because people who believe in their capabilities, that they can succeed, are more successful and more likely to stay motivated and to be successful. And Bandura's research's findings are very strong. People with high self-efficacy choose more challenging goals, persist longer when obstacles arise, and recover more quickly from failure, and they genuinely perform better. And meta-analysis shows that self-efficacy strongly predicts job performance, academic achievement, and sports performance. And the most important finding is that self-efficacy is not fixed. It can be developed, and there are pathways how to do it. There are four main strategies that were developed to increase and develop self-efficacy. First of them is mastery experiences. The most powerful source is actually accomplishing something small, and small successes build more self-confidence, and every completed task reinforces the belief that I can do this. The second one is vicarious experience, seeing someone similar to you who is succeeding, and this automatically leads to thinking that if they can do it, I can do it also. And this is very strong and powerful strategy. So maybe finding some people around your examples who are able to complete this work or do what you are trying to achieve can also help to increase your motivation levels and self-belief. The third one is social persuasion. If someone is trusting and saying you can do this, research research shows that you are if if there are a lot of people who are trusting in your abilities and there is supportive environment, you are more likely to succeed. On the contrary, if you are being constantly criticized, if they are searching for your flaws, and if they are constantly criticizing you, it's less likely that you will succeed. And the next one is psychological state. Your body's signals. If your heart is racing, for instance, are you interpreting as an excitement or fear, or maybe you think that you're going to have a heart attack? And same physiology, different interpretation, different performance. So it's more about what relationship, which thoughts, what meaning we create from experiences, physiological, emotional experiences, or whatever is happening around us is important in our success and self-efficacy. So you can intentionally use these 4 resources and adjust them, and knowing this would help you to adjust them accordingly and use this knowledge to increase your motivation. And you can strengthen your self-efficacy belief step by step. And now we're going to discuss about mental training techniques. And what's mental training? Sports psychology has taught us something very important, that the mind can be trained. And from Olympic athletes to CEOs, from artists to students, the highest performers actively use mental training techniques. And today I'll teach you these 4 techniques, and they are all scientifically supported. First of them is mental imagery, describing and imagining in details a successful performance in your mind. According to research, when you mentally rehearse an action, the same brain regions activated when you physically perform that action becomes activated. In other words, the mind doesn't fully distinguish between imagination and reality. You have an important presentation, for instance, or meeting tomorrow, and if you spend around 10 minutes imagining it or trying to describe it, visualizing, walking in, feeling strong and ready, imagining your voice, your posture, your audience response, and feel that you have successfully completed it. More than 70% of Olympic athletes practice this regular mental imagery, and you can also try, and you can share your experiences and challenges with it. And in solution-focused brief therapy, actually, we are helping the person to describe what change they want to see, if they want to succeed, if they want to try something. We are helping them, asking them different questions in details to help them to describe their preferred future. Actually, it has the same impact when a person is able to describe what they want to achieve, what they are trying to achieve, and how they would do this. It's more likely they can do it in real life. The second strategy is process-focused thinking. Most of our focus is on outcomes. For instance, maybe you think, I must win, I need to be the best, I can't fail, and this focus lowers performance because the outcomes is often out of your control. But the process is always in your control. So process-focused thinking asks, what's the best thing I can do right now? So instead of focusing on being perfect or trying to accomplish everything at once, each time when you feel stuck or unmotivated, asking yourself why this goal is important for me, and what's the smallest step I can do right now, and what's the next step I can complete, and what should I focus on right now, can help to stay focused on your goals and to stay motivated. Because at this choice point, you can either stay focused on your fears, on anxiety, on possibilities of failure or other people's opinion or what might go wrong, or you can choose to focus on your goals and what you can do right now. So this makes a huge difference. And research shows that process-focused athletes both perform better and experience less anxiety. So breaking every big task into smaller process steps, and with each step focusing only on that step, trying to catch the flow, and staying focused on what you can change, what you can achieve, and what you can do at that moment. So self-efficacy generally doesn't collapse in one moment. People who have low self-efficacy usually weaken through repetition. Maybe they have tried, they were harshly criticized, corrected, and they failed, then they tried again, then they start to feel not capable or bad about themselves and feeling less certain, and they start to avoid, then a shame comes in, and this makes them to feel even less capable, and as a result they stop trying, or they lose their hope, or they feel exhausted, and maybe even like when they want to try, they cannot, maybe they don't want to face these critics anymore, or they don't feel like they can handle it anymore. That's why they stop trying. And maybe even if they could succeed, when a person stops trying, it decreases their chances of being capable. So the first important step in order to change and to improve this is to notice your thoughts about what you are trying to do, about your work or about your failures, about what's happening around you. And so if this is a learned response, it can be relearned again, and you can find resources of motivation for yourself, why this task is important for you, why you are trying to do this, and how you want to respond to these challenges. So for instance, what task are you avoiding recently? What are some things that you are procrastinating? Not because you can't do them, but because you expect criticism or failure, or you are afraid to fail or to make mistakes, and how does it serve you in the long run? What are consequences? And if you could step back and see yourself from the future, how you would like to respond to this challenges, and when was the last time when you completed something, even something small, without it being evaluated or corrected immediately, or when you had similar challenges, feelings again, but after completion you felt relieved, and you felt more motivated, and it created meaningful difference for you or people around you. And whose voice do you hear in your head when you are trying to do something? When you start to doubt yourself, and is that voice actually yours or someone else? And if you remove judgment for a moment, if judgment didn't exist, what would you still be able to do reasonably well right now? And from physiological state, this matters more than people realize under chronic pressure, because a stressed nervous system will interpret a normal challenge or a small critique as a threat. So instead of asking, why am I so anxious? A more useful and interesting question might sound like, what is my body trying to protect me from right now? And is that threat actually present in the moment? So perhaps more importantly, if someone has repeatedly criticized, their confidence doesn't rebuild through positive thinking easily, but it is rebuilt by new experiences, trying, for instance, new experiences, trying to start things, to do things, even if your mind is criticizing you, even if you feel anxious, even if you feel sad. And by time you will notice that whatever your mind is telling you is not a literal truth, and that there would be exceptions to that. And when you keep trying, eventually you make progress. So what would you attempt if you knew you wouldn't be judged for the outcome? Or if you knew that your mind will not impact you so much? Or if you knew that anxiety wasn't holding you back, and were I still waiting to feel ready instead of allowing readiness to come after action? Because self-efficacy isn't built by convincing yourself you can do everything. It's built by repeatedly proving on a small scale that you can do the next thing. And the next important part is self-talk. Uh, I didn't notice your questions. What that was I on my bullies when I was a no, I didn't. I wasn't bullied, but I'm preparing this speech for the people who might had similar experiences, and I'm trying to research and find questions and support people who might have this kind of experiences. So the next strategy is about self-talk. Your inner voice might be constantly talking, and research shows that humans generate an average of 6,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and the tone of that voice can directly affect your performance. And when you don't notice which thoughts you have about yourself, it can considerably impact your emotions, impact your behavior. Maybe you would stop trying to do things that you would like to do, and maybe you have some thoughts that you are a failure, I'm stupid, it always goes wrong, and this might lower your performance, increase anxiety. That's why it's important to notice thoughts that you have and to change relationship with them, or you can choose how to respond to them differently. For instance, you might have a positive and realistic self-talk. You can notice your efforts that you have taken in order to start the task, and you can change your self-talk as I'll go step by step, and I can try to do what I can do right now, and I've done this before. This improves performance and strengthens your focus, and meta-analysis shows that positive self-talk significantly improved sports performance. And in practice, this week, observe your inner voice. Notice how often it speaks negatively, and replace every negative statement with what's the best thing I can do right now. And the next one is goal hierarchy. Goal hierarchy is the last part of this experience. Where do you want to get to in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and setting goals for yourself, medium-term goals, long-term goals. For instance, you can ask yourself, what will I do this month, this week, and these steps can be concrete and measurable. Or you might set daily goals for yourself. If I could do just one thing today, what would it be? And it would be very small, very concrete. And research shows that these 3-layer systems, especially small daily goals, dramatically increase motivation and completion rates. And completing each small goal releases dopamine levels. It creates fuel for the next step. And this is how momentum is built, and it's easier to be sustained. The next one are motivation compass. Set aside, for instance, 10 minutes every day in a week, and ask yourself what truly motivates me this week. What's important for me? What would drive me? What, for instance, helped you to stay motivated, focused in the past? What was inspiring you? What was driving you for action? Which activities come from intrinsic motivation? What helped you to keep going when you were feeling challenging or you had challenges, and which were forming from external pressure? This awareness can fundamentally change your energy management and motivation levels. And scheduling, for instance, at least one flow block every day, around 60-90 minutes. You can turn on off your notifications, your phone, anything that distracts you. You can arrange your environment, and you can prepare any things that you need in order to complete this task, whether it's a paper, whether it's books or research articles or whatever you are trying to complete. And put this block in your calendar, just an important meeting. And you can also use self-efficacy journal. For instance, every evening you can you can write one thing that you accomplished today. It can be small, and finishing a book, for instance, making a call, taking one step, going to a gym. And this journal accumulates mastery experiences that feed your self-efficacy belief. And the next one is the process question. When you feel overwhelmed and unmotivated, You can start asking yourself, what's the smallest meaningful step I can take, even in the presence of these feelings, in the presence of these thoughts or any experiences that you're having right now. So just do that step. Don't think about anything else. Because momentum starts with small steps, and therefore there were some also questions that you asked before that I want to answer. If your motivation is constantly low, what you can do? First, you can try to ask yourself, is this intrinsic or extrinsic motivation? And if you are running on extrinsic motivation, return to internal resources. You can ask yourself, what are your values? Are there any tasks that serve those values? And also, accumulating small wins might help you to get the dopamine system moving. Or anytime when you feel anxious and motivated, you can again choose one of your values that's important for you, whether it's contribution, love, kindness, willingness to develop yourself or grow. And you can try act on it even when you feel unmotivated or you feel stressed, depressed, anxious. And oftentimes people notice that when they are able to act despite these feelings, their motivation, inspiration, and mood is changing. So another question that you asked was, is burnout the same as loss of motivation? No, they are different things. Motivation loss is temporary, and it can change with goals, external pressure, loss of meaning. However, burnout is a chronic exhaustion, and it can show in physical, emotional, and cognitive levels. Therefore, with burnout, rest comes first, and then returning to values and intrinsic motivation is important. And burnout is more challenging to heal, and it can take longer, whereas motivation levels can fall and increase. And burnout is more challenging to treat. However, with the right support, you can easily overcome it using evidence-based strategies. Another question was, what should I do if my self-efficacy is low? Starting with small wins, completing something small you are confident you can do, then something slightly bigger, step by step, and each success can help you to strengthen your belief in yourself. And so today we focused about research and articles and what performance psychology tells about motivation, and what strategies, which questions you can ask yourself in order to increase your motivation and to stay focused, to stay inspired. I also used strategies and questions from solution-focused brief therapy. So this is exactly how we are supporting the people when they are attending therapy. We are helping them to ask different questions that would help to realize their own strengths, capabilities, because everyone's needs are different and everyone needs a different approach, and we cannot know for sure what would work for a person. So when we're asking them different questions, this helps them to realize their own resources, resilience, capabilities, talents, skills, features, qualities that they can use to achieve the change they want to see in themselves. And also speaking about these resources helps to increase self-confidence and to remind themselves about the meaning, what's meaningful for them. And so I also provided you with some strategies and resources that you can use for yourself. You can try. I use some examples from different articles. And people who are successful, high performance people, is not about luck, it's about consistency, discipline, and the right psychology, and using the science tools that are available, and it's patience, consistent practice. These are failures, and rebalancing your life and using knowledge. So if you enjoyed this webinar, don't forget to share it with people who might benefit from it. And if you have any questions, you are always welcome to leave your questions in the comments, and I can continue to answer to your questions in the next videos. You can also suggest what are some topics that you are interested in. Thank you for your time. Take good care of yourself, and see you in the next videos again.